Welcome to DMV Spotlight on ESPN 630, the sports capital, where we shine a light on local stories from the District, Maryland, and Virginia to inform, enlighten, and inspire you. I'm Barbara Britt. Well, the weather here now in the DMV is frosty cold, and it kind of makes you want to snuggle up by the fire, unless you have a very good reason not to. And my guest this morning will explain. I'm delighted to welcome Ellen Head. She is the Senior Director of Development for Special Olympics Virginia. Thank you so much for joining me on DMV Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, Ellen. So we are talking about the polar plunge.
Yes.
So most folks, when it gets cold in the D.C. area, Virginia, Maryland, they, load up on their scarves and everything.
I've got mine on right now.
She got hers on. We're actually talking about the opposite of that.
Correct.
For a very good reason.
Correct.
So tell us about the polar plunge
Sure.
for people who are unfamiliar with how it works.
Correct. So here at Special Olympics, we like to invite people to freeze for a reason. So we don't do a lot of your run-of-the-mill fundraising events. We like to push our fans and friends to discomfort, to let them do something challenging, because we support and raise funds for persons with intellectual disabilities. And to be perfectly honest, when they wake up in the morning, many of our athletes, the persons in our program, they have challenges that they need to deal with every single day. So we like to have our participants walk a mile in their shoes. So what's not challenging but jumping into cold water when you are already freezing because it's in the 30s outside? So that's what the polar plunge is. We invite our fans and friends to come to one of our locations to raise money, to have the opportunity to put on a crazy costume, bring their friends with them, and jump into cold water.
That is fantastic. Now, I do want to mention, of course, Ellen is the Senior Director of Development for Special Olympics Virginia.
Correct.
We know our friends in other areas
Yes.
with Special Olympics are also doing events.
Yes.
In
So
DC
wherever you
and
are
Maryland.
in the DMV, in Virginia, we have two plunges that I'm here to chat about with you today. One is in Fairfax at the Mosaic District. And I know you're probably thinking, where's their water at the Mosaic District?
And I haven't been to the
Yes.
Mosaic District.
Oh, you should. It's fantastic.
So what is the Mosaic District?
Sure. So it's actually it's barely outside the Beltway, and it's metro accessible. The Dunloring Metro is right there. So it is this amazing mixed-use development that has townhouses, apartments, condos, amazing restaurants like Outposts of DC restaurants right there, businesses, some of our
That
sponsors.
you can walk to.
Yes, that are right there, an Angelica movie theater. Fantastic stuff. So we put up a big above-ground pool right in the heart of the district.
So everybody can
Yes.
see you when you come out.
Exactly. So, but while you're getting up your courage, you can do a little bit of shopping, or you could, go have some food or something like that. And all of our plungers that are registered and raise money will have access to a lot of free goodies from the retailers that are there. But you can enjoy yourself there and then plunge right in the center of things.
Is that what we're called? Plungers? If we
Correct.
jump.
Yes,
I wasn't quite sure.
Yes, you're plungers. We're really, really awesome people.
You're a plunger. Okay,
Yes.
now I want to make it clear. So
Yes.
just to circle back for a second.
Sure.
If you're in Maryland or DC, you can check with Special Olympics in your area.
Correct.
And find where they're going to do a polar plunge.
Yes, there's amazing
and they
events
do-
in DC and Maryland
So
as well.
I don't want to leave anybody out.
No.
But if you're listening, you're in Virginia. Of course, you have them across the state, but for Northern Virginia, for our listening
Correct.
area, the Mosaic District Polar Plunge is January 25th. And do you have people coming at a certain time? Do they do it for a long time? How does it? Does everybody go in at once?
No. So our safety divers would have a heart attack. So we invite our fans and friends to come join us at noon. We need some time to set up. And we will start our plunge festivities at 1. So come check in, come visit the retailers in the Mosaic District. And at 1 o'clock, we're going to get things started. And we'll have a costume contest because everybody loves. I mean, it
Wait
makes
a
jumping
minute.
into
Wait a
cold
minute.
more
What?
palpable.
No, wait a minute.
Yes.
Let's back up a second.
Yes.
Ellen, you're so enjoyable to talk. So, just try to cheer up. So, I just wonder, what do people? I mean, I would think you would not want to have a lot of extra things on. You're telling me that people are dressing up for this.
Correct. So we do have, many folks that just choose to wear swimwear, and that's totally fine and totally acceptable. But a lot of folks, if they're already doing something crazy, they want to take it the extra mile. But also, since the vast majority of participants form teams, so we've got a ton of school groups that participate. We have a lot of civic groups. We have a lot of law enforcement agencies. In fact, the Fairfax County Police are actually the ones that are organizing this plunge with us.
Fantastic.
So people, to make a more fun team atmosphere, they like to do group costumes. So we'll see people in all sorts of things. Case in point, one school team last year, their mascot is Panthers. So they all somehow found Pink Panther onesies,
Hilarious.
like adult onesies.
Hilarious.
So they all did that. So we'll see. We'll see some people get quite creative.
Now, logistically,
Yes.
how do people raise the money? Tell us how
Sure.
they manage that. You go on your website,
Correct.
which is SpecialOlympicsVA.org, Special Olympics Virginia VA.org, and you can see these Polar Plunge under the events.
Correct. So
button.
you can find it'll direct you to our Polar Plunge website, which is polarplunge.com. So go to Special Olympics VA or go to polarplunge.com, and then it's like a choose your own adventure. So if you want to do the event that we're talking about right now, the one in Fairfax County at the Mosaic District, you just select that one. If you can buy something on Amazon, you can register for the plunge. You just put in your name, your T-shirt size, and then you register. And that creates you a fundraising page, just like many people see with walks and runs and other things that people participate in. And then we encourage people, because the vast majority of funds raised do come from what we call P2P, or person-to-person fundraising. So basically that's me putting it in my email signature, or sending an email out to family and friends.
Just say, hi, I'm going to jump in icy cold
Correct.
water
Yep.
for Special Olympics Virginia, and I need you to support me or bring me a blanket.
Yes, putting it on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything like that. And that's where the vast majority of the funds come from, because it's, someone donating $25 here, someone donating $10 there, someone donating $100 there, because people want to see people do crazy things, but also almost everybody knows someone that has an intellectual disability. So people want to help people that are helping Special Olympics.
Do you have a minimum amount that you require when people register, or what is the biggest amount people have raised? Is there competition to raise the funds? How does that work, Ellen?
Yes, we love competition. We're a sports organization, so of course there's going to be competition involved. So the minimum donation that needs to be raised by the time you check in on event day is $100. That said, there is no registration fee. So if I choose to register and I don't have a spare $100, that's fine. I don't have to plonk any money down. I just can crowdsource it. And the most money that we've seen raised, actually last year, the most money was raised by one of our youngest participants. It was a middle schooler. And she raised quite a few $1,000s.
Wow.
Just because she asked. And she asked a lot of people, and a lot of people rallied around her. So if someone in middle school who really isn't even allowed to personally use social media yet because she's too young, if she can do it, anybody can do it. So, professionals, adults who do use social media that have corporate contacts and things like that really and we'll see a lot of corporate teams there as well.
I was going to ask you, is that the kind of thing where now we're getting into, holiday parties and first of the year, do you see companies rally around saying, okay, accounting is going to take on, sales in this?
That's something that's very lucrative, where we'll have different departments from companies challenge each other to raise the most. And maybe not everybody will jump in, but they'll say, okay, our senior vice president, if we raise the most, he's going to jump in a tutu or something like that. So there's a ton of competition around. And we always give out a prize to the top fundraiser, and because we want to highlight that person. So for the event that's at Mosaic, it will be a really awesome prize pack that's donated from all the different retailers there. And last year it was pretty nice.
That's so fun. And do people just like literally, if it's an above ground pool, that do they stand on the edge and jump in? Do they walk in the stairs? Do they all go in holding hands? And then how quickly do they get out?
Sure. So we have an above ground pool with like a platform and stairs that we have someone professionally erect. You don't want me doing those things. And we also have safety divers from the Fairfax County Police that are waiting in the water for you just in case you need a little boost. But so everyone just, they take their turn, they walk up the stairs, they get their moment in, hopefully the sun, and where we'll talk about them and say how awesome they are and maybe who they represent, if they're from a company, a school, or whatnot. And they will then jump into the water. We'll let people, if they want to have a buddy, jump with them. That's fine, but we usually do 1 or 2 at a time only. But we actually, since it's cold, people get through it pretty quickly. So we have a couple hundred plungers, but we'll be done in about 2 hours.
I would imagine that there would be some screams of laughter, and perhaps the breath has been taken away by the temperature of the water or the outside.
Yes, that is definitely correct. I've got some great photos of one of my colleagues who participated last year, and seeing her face before she jumped in and then watching it, all the different shots as she was going in and then hit the water was quite hysterical. But once she came out, she was smiling once again because she was really excited for the experience and what she was able to do to help raise money for our programs.
That is awesome. I'm speaking today with Ellen Head. She's the Senior Director of Development for Special Olympics Virginia, absolutely made for this job. We're talking about the Polar Plunge. It's one of the big fundraisers for Special Olympics Virginia. There's one on January 25th in the Mosaic District in Fairfax, Virginia, but there's also one in Prince William County a little bit later if you're away or you're busy that day, and or maybe you live closer to that part of Northern Virginia. February 22nd, that's at Leesylvania State Park. Tell us about that one. Is that a little different?
Yes, it is. So we actually have people from all over that choose to go to either one because some people want to do that above ground pool and some people want to go into the Potomac. So we will be going into the Potomac. There's actually a beautiful beach space at Leesylvania State Park, and we will be running in by team at that event. Once again, a couple hundred people will sign up. They will join us that day starting at 10 a.m. We'll create a fun winter festival there with food trucks. We already have a bunch of awesome ones from the area lined up. Heated tents, There will be some heaters there. We'll have s'mores and hot chocolate and a lot of other fun things and games for people to entertain themselves and music before the plunge festivities start at 1.
I would think that would be you've mentioned social media,
Yes.
but if you love that and you want to get some good video, I'm sure you can get your fill on a day like that. So I'm assuming it's rain or shine.
It is rain or shine. We've had this event in rain.
Yep.
We've had it in hail.
Mm-hmm.
We've had it in very, very nice weather. Sometimes February is kind of kooky. You could have some nice weather at the end of February where you're just wearing a sweatshirt. So that's what I'm hoping for. And we've also had it years where we had to cut the ice because this event actually was started by the Prince William County Police Department, and they've been doing this for over 17 years.
That is amazing.
Yes, we're very lucky to have some amazing law enforcement partners.
Do people wear footwear?
Yes, you have to. For that event, we do require footwear, even though the Potomac is very clean, but still there's always rocks and
Flotsam and
sticks and
jetsam.
things, and we clean it out multiple times leading up to the event and day of, but we don't want anybody to get hurt, and no one has yet, which is fantastic, but please wear old sneakers. There's a Walmart really close by that's also a sponsor that you could get some water shoes at. We also sell some plunge themed ones there, but we do require you to wear shoes so you don't get a little cut.
All right. And that one is on February 22nd at the Leesylvania State Park, and you've got to get into the park. And then obviously you have the food trucks and things. So if you have a plunger with you
Yes.
going into the park, you go in for free.
That is correct.
But if you are just coming to cheer somebody on or make fun of them or, whatever comes
Correct.
to
It's
mind.
the typical park donation of $7 to get in.
That I just wanted to
Yep.
make sure that folks were aware of that.
So register for the plunge. Get other
You
people to
might
pay
as
for your
well.
parking for you.
You might as well get it done. Here's my other question, not having been
Sure.
there, and I know you would happily invite me to go.
Oh, yes. There will definitely be some fans and friends from the station here on site that day, so you can join them.
That would be so much fun. But how does it when people come out?
Sure.
I mean, because you have all the fun going in, you're all laughing, you're screaming with joy, what have you, and you go in. I'm assuming you still have divers on site because it
Yes,
is
the Prince William County dive team has a whole crew out
right
there.
Everybody,
Yep.
we do want to make sure everybody knows they're going to be safe.
Yes.
You come out of the water,
Mhm.
you're soaking wet.
You go into a heated changing tent, and you can
A changing tent.
Yeah, we have changing tents at all of our plunges.
Okay, so that's what I was. That's what I was
Yes.
getting to.
Get out of that cold, those cold clothes right away.
So you're going to bring your change of clothes with
Correct.
you, dry shoes, dry underthings, dry everything dry.
Correct.
And then you put your wet stuff in a bag and
Right. And parking at that event is fantastic. You can park right at the event. This is actually a new location this year, and previously we had to shuttle everybody in. Now you can park directly at the event, which is a welcome change. So you can leave that change of clothes in the car. The changing tents are going to be right there, so you can just go ahead and change really quickly before you head out and go home.
And that's fun because you do, as you said, you have the food trucks there and you
Yes.
have hot chocolate and what have you. Do some of your Special Olympic athletes participate?
Of course, we believe in doing everything unified because I really hope sometime in my lifetime I will be out of a job because there will be no need to preach inclusion, that the world will be an inclusive place. So our athletes plunge, we actually already have a bunch of our athletes that have registered. I always like to talk about, there's this one athlete, his name is Adam. He's from Leesburg and he plunges every year. And when he came out one year, he walked into the water and he put his feet in and everyone was like, Adam, you have to go in, go high five those safety divers. And he's looking at them like, you crazy? And they're like, and a lot of people are thinking, he's an athlete. He has an intellectual disability. He's not smart enough to know that he needs to go to the plungers. No. Adam was smarter than every single other plunger there because he's a man of his word. He told his donors that he would go in. He didn't say how far he'd go in. He said he'd go in. So he showed everyone that our athletes can often be smarter than the rest of the plungers that are there. So yes, we'll have athletes there in spades, which is a great opportunity for everybody to meet our athletes and have that human interaction with them so they know that our athletes are amazing, wonderful, worthwhile people that they should take the time to get to know, to hire, to become friends with, because they will be there having lunch with everybody, enjoying the music with everybody.
Ellen, what is our issue when we meet somebody who appears to be different from us or someone who has I believe we all have some kind of disability.
Everybody's got some
Everybody's got
difference,
something. Sometimes it shows and sometimes
Right.
it doesn't. But what is our hang up in that? Are we just fearful that we're going to say something wrong or that somehow something awkward is going to happen? I mean, awkward things happen. Just
I
read the
know. I'm
paper.
one giant piece of awkwardness.
So this is why you and I get along so well. But what at the heart of it, what
Yeah.
is it? I don't think people wake up and say, I want to stay away from people.
No.
I'm not sure that that's the heart. What is the heart of that?
I mean, I truly believe for the most part, people are good by nature, but people are scared. Whether they're scared of, there's some people, and we've heard this firsthand, they think that they can catch an intellectual disability. They think Down syndrome is catchy, so there's people that
Okay,
think
let's
that
just be clear. Let's
it
just
is
back up
not.
that you are born with that.
Correct.
And that it gives you a very different way of looking at life, which can be so beautiful. If you have
Correct.
ever spent somebody
Our athletes are amazing.
who has Down syndrome, there's just oftentimes, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but the people that I have known who have been part of my life have brought me so much joy
That is correct.
because they have a very different perspective
Very positive perspective.
than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And each day is truly a gift
Correct.
in different ways that we often take for granted. But But back to my question. So it's really just fear of the
fear.
unknown.
It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of, like you said before, being awkward because no one wants to put their foot in their mouth. And it's fear of not having something to talk about. And a lot of times people realize when they are hanging out the polar plunge or something else with our athletes, it's just like, wow, they may have an intellectual disability. They may process things differently, look a little different. But you know what? We both really like the Nats and are really pumped that they won the World Series. So, and then all of a sudden we were in this long conversation about that, and I forgot that they're different.
And so for us, let's say we do have a hang up of some kind. Give us a primer. And we just walk up, stick out your hand. Hi, my name's Barbara. Hi, my name's Ellen. Hi, my name is Ken. We just begin a conversation like you would with any other person.
Correct. Obviously, everybody's different. We have athletes that are shy. We have athletes that are chatterboxes. So we just encourage everyone to treat everybody the same, introduce yourself, and be open to having an enjoyable time with someone new.
That is wonderful. And that's really, I guess, the heart behind Special Olympics,
Correct.
Which is now over 50 years old. Talk to us about that.
Yes, we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year, which was very exciting. We were we're very blessed to have such an amazing organization that's doing so much for persons with intellectual disabilities keep growing and growing. I mean, I came back a couple months ago from our World Games in the UAE representing the United States, and seeing how much it's grown over the past 50 years is amazing. I always fancied myself to be a relatively intelligent person, and there was countries that were represented there that I've never even heard of.
And you can't spell, even if you tried.
Oh, yes.
So take us back those 50 years,
Sure.
1968, and things obviously have changed. We can talk about that, but what precipitated the beginning of Special Olympics?
Sure. So our founder is Eunice Kennedy Shriver. And as many people may know, she is a Kennedy. So she was a sister to President Kennedy. And one of the Kennedy children, her name was Rosemary, and she had an intellectual disability. And the Kennedy family loved their sister, and they wanted her to be included just like they were and just like everyone else. So Eunice, who was very close to her sister, created this organization to help people like her sister because she wanted her to be included. So, and just like how many people know of all the Kennedy lore, seeing them play football out in Massachusetts,
sailing,
and things like that, and doing all
the
their
iconic
athletic
pictures.
Exactly. So that's what made sense to Mrs. Shriver, was sports. So as I mentioned earlier, we're a sports organization, but I'll let you all in on a secret. We're not a sports organization. We masquerade as a sports organization because really we just realize, Mrs. Shriver realized, she's the smart one, she's the genius, that realized that sports brings people together.
Yeah, and we do. We just saw that with the Nationals.
Exactly.
We see that at the Olympics. We see that at Special Olympics.
Correct.
When all the athletes come together. And you and I have talked about this before, but let's be very clear. These athletes are for real.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we have athletes that will blow your socks off. We have one athlete, I'll speak of the ones that are kind of in our market here. We have an athlete, Karen. She lives in Fairfax County. She's a marathon runner, and she can run a marathon in 3 hours and 20-something minutes.
For those of you who are listening, that's 26.2 miles.
Yes, and that she's usually in the top female in her age group. And that's just an amazing marathon regardless. So she's a fabulous runner. We have a golfer named Grace Ann, and she's the top female golfer in all of Special Olympics. She beats all of the women. She beats 99% of the men. She plays an amateur LPGA event. She's just a fabulous golfer. So we have athletes that are really amazing, really talented, because just because you process things differently doesn't mean that you can't play sports. But then on the flip side, we have athletes that are much like myself, that just always participated because they wanted to do something to hang out with people, but have yet in their life scored a basket, just like me. Have yet to do that. And because we just want to do it for fun, to be a joiner, to do it more like a rec thing. So we have a place for all types of athletes.
And you're happy when someone else does.
Yes.
And I think, and we've also seen videos of that where there is an athlete who's very close to winning and turns around to bring their friend with them across the line. Those are also moments that
our athletes have amazing perspective.
About what's truly makes you a winner.
Right. And I've worked in the sports industry for the better part of 15, 20 years. And working at Special Olympics is true amateur, pure sport. And it's the best place that I've worked because of that, because you're really seeing pure sport, and it's fantastic seeing people at that level playing.
Over that 50 years of Special Olympics, what really has changed, Ellen, and what would you like to see change more for the next 50 years going forward?
Sure. So we've actually changed quite a bit, especially in the last decade or so, because we were always a sports organization, and we were, having persons with intellectual disability sign up to play soccer, run track, play softball, basketball, bowling, you name it. And then we realized we're preaching inclusion, 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 but hold on a second. We're actually a segregated organization. And we took that to heart, and that hurt, because we can't preach inclusion if we're not including everybody. So we started to change our programs and add to our programs. So add to all the funds that we need to raise, and why we need to have lots of polar plunges and have people raise more money, because we started creating programs, what we call unified programs, for people with and without disabilities to play together. So now I can be on a bowling team with people that have intellectual disabilities, and I could be on it as well. They wouldn't want me on it, but I could be on it as well. We also, another thing that we have started to do is create these unified programs in schools, because the earlier we teach people that differences do not matter, that an intellectual disability is no more different than someone, being an Orioles fan versus being a Nationals fan, and hopefully that will divide people even less, is if they learn at a very young age. So we now, and in the state of Virginia, we have almost 500 schools at all levels that have raised their hand that want a unified program at their school. So that means that you at a certain school, let's use, for example, Woodson High School in Fairfax County. You could be on the varsity basketball team, you could be on the JV basketball team, or you could choose to be on the unified basketball team. And that will be people with and without disabilities playing together. So that's really, really awesome, and something that we've added.
Have you worked with the school district on that? How did that come to be?
Well, now it's actually mandated federally for, and that was something that was done in the Obama administration, that schools need to offer equal opportunities to all persons. And so that even includes on the sporting field. And so we were able to, we reach out to schools and say, here, we have a program for you. We will help you get it started. We will even start helping you fund it for the very beginning. So we're filling a need that schools have, and schools are raising their hands right and left to do so.
And has that been well received in the school community? The parents and students come out and cheer them on? And
very much so. We actually get, sometimes when we're at these events, we don't know who's, if it's a parent of a person with an intellectual disability or not. We'll get feedback from parents saying, this is so amazing for my child. We'll think it's a person from a traditional Special Olympics athlete, but actually it's a parent of a person without an intellectual disability that's really seeing a positive change in their child, being more inclusive and more open to different types of people.
That is so exciting. I've been speaking today. Our time has absolutely flown with Ellen Head. She's the Senior Director of Development for Special Olympics Virginia, and she wants to invite you to take the polar plunge either in Fairfax in the Mosaic District on January 25th at noon, or February 22nd in Leesylvania State Park. That's in Prince William County. And you can go to polarplunge.com and sign up.
Correct.
And you can get your team together, or just you is fine as well. And we hope to see you there at one of those events. And Ellen, just the important work that you do, what does it mean for you in our last 30 seconds?
I love it. It brings me pure joy and happiness to be able to do so many fun things and meaningful things for such an amazing group of people. I love our athletes. They're my people. I found a place where I am accepted by some really amazing people, and I want to surround myself with them all the time.
So hopefully we'll see everyone at the Polar Plunge, and that you'll bring your extra warm clothes. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for listening to DMV Spotlight on ESPN 630. I'm Barbara Britt.